Oregon. We're at the site of the old Pope and Talbot sawmill. You can see behind me is the old mill ponds, or some of them at least. There's three of them there. One over there and one next to it. They're great big ponds. Just have big logs in them. This mill was built in 1948 by business partners Pope and Talbot from profits they made shipping supplies during World War II to Europe, and then they built this sawmill here. And like, this was a big mill. It employed like 500 people, and sadly it only ran till 1985 when they laid off all employees, and then everything was sold off a few years later. But yeah, this is the old Pope and Talbot site, what's left of it. There's still a couple old buildings out here. So we got a big industrial building here. Off in the distance there you can see some stuff there. I think those might have been the old kilns. I'm not sure. Maybe someone that has better knowledge of mills could tell me what those old concrete buildings were. But now it's a city-owned industrial park, and yeah, I guess maybe we'll try and get some closer up shots of the ponds and stuff, and show you guys around a little bit before we move on to the next place. A random rail car out here in the old mill site. It must have been out here in the bushes somewhere, because blackberries had just engulfed everything out here. I bet that was just sitting out here somewhere, or maybe at the railroad yard in town. But people busted all the windows out of it and stuff. That's a cool old car. Looks like an old caboose or something. I don't know, maybe somebody on one of my videos will know. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be the...
It says Westfir.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's the Westfir mill. 1925. Inlet or outlet or a door or access or something in there. I don't know what that thing is or was. It's kind of cool looking right down there, so I wanted to get it. But I'm curious as to if anyone has any idea what that thing was. Footway there next to
footpath,
the traffic lane for vehicles. Alright, and here we are at the second part of our video today. We're at the old site of the Westfir mill. As you can see behind me, there is nothing left. The mill was built in May of 1925, and it went through several holdings over the years, was modernized somewhere along the lines of the 60s or something like that by Edward Hines, and he continued operations until I'm not sure of the month, but it was 1979 when the sawmill side of the mill burnt, and then it was 1982 and the planing mill site here burnt, and thus ended all operations for the Westfir sawmill. But as you can see here, there's the railroad comes in right along the side of the old mill site here. It's the old office covered bridge right there, which I believe the office was right in here somewhere, right close to the bridge when the people would first pull in. There's little more here today other than a golf course, or a disc golf course, excuse me. That's all that's here now.
Christmas lights still up.
It would have been cool back in the day to live within walking distance of the place you work.
Right.
Yeah, this footway would have certainly been nice back then, especially in days like this. Walking to work in the dark, rain. Walking home in the dark and rain.
There's a nice view out this one right here.
Still holding the freaking umbrella at the door. See this hillside right here? This is what our national forest should look like. Clean, maintained, thriving. The Forest Service actually did their job in here and hired a logging company to come in and helicopter log this whole corridor. And then they did a controlled burn in here. And wow, I mean, amazing. To me, that looks like the epitome of forest management right there. There's no buildup of underbrush for a wildfire to take off and just run through here and torch everything. This is how we should be doing a lot more of our forestry right here. Wood. Okay, so we're at location number 3 on our trip here today, and we are at the Huckleberry Flat Logging Railroad Incline. Come check it out. Yeah, they actually used to lure train cars loaded with logs straight down over the hill. And they you can see here, they came up with a passing lane. So when their loaded car was coming down, their empty car could pass it by and keep going up to get loaded. And then they would come down to a single rail and make the corner down here to the flat. Pretty cool process. Instead of building a railroad to go all the way up, winding up through the canyons and stuff to get up to Huckleberry Flat, they were like, hey man, let's take the shortcut. Go straight down the side. Pretty wild. I really do admire the old timers and their ingenuity. These guys were nuts. Over here on this information board just kind of tells about the community and stuff, and how everything came to be in the Huckleberry Flats area.
And this is the mill we were at earlier, right?
Yeah, and this tells about the old Westfir mill, how it produced about 200,000 board feet of lumber a day. But it, in the end, still wasn't a very profitable mill, and ended up burning down, and that was that. Nobody ever wanted to rebuild it. And I'm sure the timber contracts were long gone. So, one other piece of information, they would use Shea locomotives because they created torque a whole different way than the old conventional, the arm wheels that would, you know, classic old west style locomotives had. Those were designed for working up in the mountains. That's a logging train. I think that's about all we have to offer here. When the weather gets better, we do plan on hiking the trail and doing the old logging railroad grade hike. So stay tuned in the future for that. And come with us down to the museum. That is baked by the campfire.
Doing wilderness trail maintenance.
Oh, yeah, you guys weren't allowed to take chainsaws, were you?
No, that was in the early 80s when I was it was either before or after, I don't remember, when I was a wildland firefighter in the early.
So this chainsaw tree here, this thing is just a real treat. And I think all these saws have been donated by locals, if I'm not mistaken. It's saws that were used here in the Oakridge area. But man, I love that old Titan with the manual still with it. Came from the Westfir Lumber Company. You know, that thing probably cut a lot of big trees. But yeah, I think even old Bigfoot himself would be proud of this chainsaw tree in here. Pretty neat. Beautiful little McCulloch on there. Old home light too. Couple home lights. Yeah.
Some cool
Some
stuff.
great big saws, man.
Yeah, that's
They were
a
heavy.
chain binder right there. That's pretty cool.
2-man operation. There you go.
That's a section of wooden water pipe. Yeah, I never knew they made wooden water pipe. It's just a bunch of old stuff. There's an old worn out section of wood water pipe. A bunch of log boom chains. This is such a cool old museum. There's just all sorts of stuff in here to see. That old sledgehammer. Or I guess it's just a mallet reinforced with steel. This massive old bull chain down here. This thing is huge. Just a massive hook on the end of it. That's a big old hook.
Good chain.
Yeah, some cool old boat motors. There's got to be some old timers on my channel that can remember using these. Probably lots of this stuff. This just goes to show how much stuff we used to do by hand, manually. All the different skills that men used to have. Such a cool old little museum. Oh, that's an old head. An old grave marker. Wow, I'll attach that to your head. Wow, cool old stuff. So we're coming to the end of our tour of the Oakridge Museum here. Looking at some old logging history pictures from like the late 30s to the 50s and stuff. And lots of cool old trucks and steam donkeys and pretty cool old photos. I think back on it, that was my granddad's years for driving truck. Probably looked a lot the same. The old railroad logging grade there. That thing was so cool. Debbie lever on the old steam donkey. It's a cool picture. Log piles at the Westfir mill. Or I guess waiting to go into the water above the mill. Some crew. And I think that's Wolf Rock. But yeah, there you have it. I mean, we got to give credit to the Oakridge Museum for letting us come and walk through and look at all the stuff. And also give some credit to Mrs. Chainsaw Jedi for filming all this and editing for me. She's amazing. She's a real treat. But yeah, if you're in the area of Oakridge, exploring around and checking stuff out, I would definitely recommend checking out the Oakridge Museum. Lots of cool local history in there. Super cool stuff to look at. And I could be in there for hours. But here's some old newspaper clippings and stuff to to look at to the end of the video. Thanks for watching, everybody. And maybe we'll have something good and similar for you here soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.